What's up, everybody? Welcome back to For Him 2013's channel, and today we are going to be talking about part 2 of the Fire series. So today we're going to be reading a poem, and the title of this poem is called Grief. And as I had stated to you guys in the past episode, that the symbolism that surrounds this composition is described in terms of people. So without further ado, we're going to get right into it. Grief. They said that it grips the heart, constricting its emotions. It causes erosion at the level commotion. The more you breathe it, the more consuming it became. It suffocates, and in frequency brings pain. Like a mushroom cloud, the first the light, then the chaos. Like vapor, phasing, elimination as you wait. Exhaling as it closes, filling with doses, your composure as it decomposes. It sprouts fear, nevertheless the thing that was never here. It trades knowing for despair, and isolation for repairing, a goal for a cycle, a mission for intermissions. But we all don't know until its hold is tight, causing our sight to widen. But even in the mind, behind, leading the blind, redefining what's divine to confinement. Until there's nothing left, nothing felt, stumbling upon what's already numb, the sum of it all is understood. That's a grief. They said that it grips the heart, constricting its emotions. So when it comes to grief, as the individual said in his poem, that it grips the heart. Grief is an emotion. Right off the bat, it says that it grips the heart. It doesn't necessarily go after the mind first, but it goes after the heart first. Because when it comes to grief, you more so feel it, and then you sort of make it out that, hey, wow, I'm grieving, I'm sad, I don't feel happy, or I feel a sense of peace being lost. Then it says constricting its emotions, and by that, sometimes when it comes to grief, the heart in some sort of way it tries to find a way around to cope with grief. And depending on the severity of it, it can take hold of whatever emotions that may I guess extend from it. And what it does is it turns a person one track, almost causing them to lose their focus and dissipate whatever sort of coping or understanding that they may have, and they just focus on that. And sometimes it's hard to refocus and come back from it. Nonetheless, a person will come back from it, a person will arise from it, but sometimes it's hard. And in this year of 2020, it has brought a lot of grief, reference in reference to loss, and loss of job, loss of a person you may love, maybe the determination you had 2020 planned out, super motivational, determined, you're going to do this, accomplish these goals, and because of the nature of the situation, it sort of hindered some of those goals. Perhaps you wanted to borrow a loan and open up a restaurant stand, or go to the beach and open up an ice cream stand, but because of the orders put in place, you are no longer allowed to do that. And perhaps that all of the hard work you put into 2019, 2018, all the way back up until this point, you say, this is going to be the year I'm going to start it. And 2020 came in like a flood, and it took a lot of people off their feet unexpectedly. So in some sense, it brought a level of grief and it caused you to feel a sense of a loss, and that is perhaps you lost that determination. You're just like, I guess this is really isn't gonna happen because I don't know what the rest of the year is gonna bring. But with that being said, let's go ahead and go over a couple more course. It says that exhaling as it closes, filling with doses, your composure as it decomposes. It sprouts fear, nevertheless, the thing that was never here. So let's go ahead and elaborate on that line real quick. Let's just talk about this one for a second. It says exhaling as it closes, right? Sometimes when it comes to grief, it feels like it's suffocating you. It's closing in on you. It feels like I guess what's the best way? It just feels like if anybody's ever experienced passing out, a lot of times their vision will sort of kind of go dark, or they may see like I guess like it feels like darkness is like closing in, and that's what happens. And the more it closes in on you, the more it makes you feel like you're suffocating. Grief only becomes stronger in that person. And it says filling with doses. So grief comes in phases, or doses, if you will. It starts out as, you know, as some sort of a feeling. A person may be slightly in denial about it, but then the more and more you may deny it, the harder it eventually bounce back and hit you back if you deny that it's there. So what it does, it fills you with doses as it closes in. And it says, and now it's talking about your composure as it decomposes. So grief takes over your composure if you're not fully aware and understood of what's actually happening in that moment. It takes over your composure. It makes you lose your composure. Perhaps maybe you're trying to keep level-headed in the situation. You're trying to be calm, cool, collected, and when grief finally does set in, you know, have you ever met a person and they've come in, let's say, to a job, and you know the day prior they were okay, but then they came in on this particular day and just all over their face they are really going through something, and somebody may say, man, you look like you lost a friend or something. You know, people use that term to say that you look really bothered or really sad, perhaps a level of grief, and it may not even be you lost somebody in particular. You may have lost your motivation for something, and you really wanted to tackle a goal, or you really wanted to accomplish something, and it swept you off your feet unexpectedly. That's what grief does. It consumes your composure, and it decomposes whatever focus you may have. The more you allow it to be present within you, it disturbs your composure. It takes it away, and it decomposes whatever other focus you may have that's keeping you level-headed and keeping you sort of on a straight and narrow. Then it says it sprouts fear. Now you're like, not only are you sad or feeling a loss of peace in this sense in regards to grief, it brings a level of fear, because now you start to question what's going to happen tomorrow, or the day after, or next month, or how is the rest of the year going to be. And believe it or not, a lot of us can say, especially those who may have been financially affected by 2020, you may be right now questioning how are things going to be a month from now, 2 months, 6 months, a year from now, because given the circumstances, every day kind of seems uncertain as far as like what's gonna happen. Is a bill going to get passed where we will become financially stable? Is the market, is it going to crash? You know, the equity that I put into my possessions, is it gonna like just dissipate? And you just, and that's what it does to you. That's what this year has done. It sprouts fear. Nevertheless, the thing that was never here. So the more you allow it to be present within you, it creates a fear in you that when the person describes the fear that was never there, at one point prior to everything happening, you wasn't a person, you guys weren't fearful of what's going on in the future, or you're like, oh, tomorrow's going to be great. But there's an old proverb that says that tomorrow's not promised to anyone, and you just never know what a day may bring. A movie, Forrest Gump, with it played by Tom Hanks. In the movie, he quoted this, and I think that this can kind of apply into people's everyday life. And the quote was, "Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get." Now, that may be a very cheesy quote, but it applies. You can sort of somewhat speculate, given immediate circumstances, of what may happen in the immediate future, but tomorrow, you never know. But that's how grief does. It comes at you unexpectedly, but you have to have hope, and you have to be strong in that situation. And the second title to this second episode is called "We Rise." So from this, we have to rise from this, from the despair, the grief. And sure, you may be saying, Cottrell, you make it sound so easy, just rise from it. But not only just rise, but rise to the challenge. Rise to the challenge of being able to overcome this unexpected situation, adapt to it. I made a status on my social media page on Facebook, and I said, when this pandemic came about, there was a massive rush and worry on getting masks to wear around your face, and people were going crazy because the effects of what the pandemic had on the economy and on people, our health. And next thing you know, people started to adapt to it. Next thing you know, people who you didn't know had the skills to make masks started making masks. Here you go, here's a mask for you, donating. And that's what happens. And these people out there, and people that I even know, have adapted to this situation. And that goes to show you, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters who's watching this, that goes to show you that given hard times in life, if you truly put your mind to it, you can adapt to it. You can adapt to it. You can be like water, and no matter what shape you're put in, you can take the shape of it. You can adapt to it, and you become that thing. You own it, as some of the young people say. You own it. You handle your business. You rise to the challenge. And what does this have to do with this poem, Grief? Grief brings unexpectancies in life, uncertainties, but you have to be like water, and you just gotta go with the flow. You just gotta go with the flow. A few rocks come in, hit you. You just gotta go with the flow. And there's a old ancient proverb about water, and it's a poem. And probably sometime during this week, I'll probably like read it and like post it up on my social media on Facebook and on YouTube. But you have to be like water in this situation. You have to rise to the challenge. You have to go with the flow. Because I'm gonna tell you something. This year is not done yet. Okay? I'm just gonna throw that out there. I'm gonna call a spade a spade. This year is not done yet. And this year has more uncertainties that's gonna take place. But you have to mentally prepare yourself. You have to do jujitsu. Jujitsu, because I used to take martial arts way back years ago over yonder. That's another story for another time. But there's a type of martial arts styles called jujitsu, or is it, I think that's judo, where you take a person's momentum and you redirect it. So that's how you have to do. That's how you have to deal with life's challenges. When they come at you, don't try to just like resist it with power and with strength and just like, you gotta redirect its momentum. You gotta be like water. You gotta go with the flow. You gotta become that thing. You got to own it. You have to rise to that challenge. You have to rise. And that's why the second episode is called We Rise. Just want to say thank you guys for joining me on this live stream. I'm happy that and I hope that you guys have really learned and took from this. I pray and hope that you guys, if you haven't had a chance, go back and watch the first episode to the Fire series. I really think that you guys will enjoy it. But I appreciate it, you guys. Thank you all for joining me. And as always, catch you next time.